Good afternoon. Happy rainy Thursday. Welcome to Client Conversations. I am Jennifer Zwilling, Curator and Director of Artistic Programs here at the Play Studio. We're excited to welcome George Taylor, who is our graphic artist for October. Thank you for being here with us. We're excited to talk about your artwork, but first we're going to do a couple of things to get started. One is that we'd like to recognize that the Play Studio stands on the indigenous territory known as Lenape, the traditional homelands of the Lenni Lenape people. We would like to take a moment to reflect on the role of the Lenape as the past, present, and future stewards of the land, and the role of all of us to join in their tradition of respect and caring for the land and each other. And I want to thank Maddie for being our tech person today. And to all of you, thank you for coming to join us and for everyone in the room with us today.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So George Taylor, born and raised in Jersey City, New Jersey. George discovered art as a freshman at Rutgers University, where he studied painting along with sculpture and art history. His exploration of clay began after college and deepened during graduate studies at Mason Gross School of the Arts, where he studied painting, ceramics, performance art, and critical studies. George's professional path has been as varied as his artistic one, spanning roles as a clerk, salesman, marketing associate, therapist, and professor, which I didn't ask you about the other day, but I'm interested in the therapist part, obviously with our clay as care theme. These experiences inform his multidisciplinary approach and the themes of resilience, identity, and transformation in his work. Now based in central New Jersey with his spouse, Abby, George continues to create at the intersection of art and craft. That's a lovely bio. So we're going to start, and I think we're pinned, right? Okay. So everyone else is mostly seeing us, although maybe Maddie could just zoom in a little bit. George, yes. How and why did you make the brave decision to make your life in art?
Well, I have to make one correction.
Oh.
Art had discovered me when I was 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
I discovered art at the same time, but I didn't get any art education until I got to Rutgers University as a freshman.
So tell us what it means that art discovered you at 5.
I found myself drawing all the time. I found, myself with color pencils, which apparently my parents had bought me because they had noticed that I was drawing all the time. So it was kind of like it just captured me. And I say 5, but it was before I was in grammar school.
Yeah.
In kindergarten. So
did that become part of your identity, that you felt like you were an artist or the artist of the family, or?
Yes, but my parents wanted me to be something else, so they sent me to a prep school that didn't have art. And I had to wait until I realized I was paying my own bills to study art.
Yeah, you told me that the other day. So you were at school, you were studying
English and history.
Yeah. And you had a moment of realization. I'm paying for this myself.
Right.
And how did that empower you?
Well, I, switched my major from English to fine arts and started taking all the art classes. Yeah, I felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And so, like, how I would imagine that even in English and in history, you were taking those because you were interested in those topics as well. So how do you think that the interest in what you were studying in history and English translated into your visual artwork?
I don't think it translated directly into the work until later. History and society, social studies, all those things are in the work now. But, back then I didn't have enough wherewithal to be aware that I was saying anything other than what I was putting on a piece of paper.
So you went through school, you got your degree in art, and tell us a little bit about what happened next.
After that, I went to work because I did have to pay back the loans. sort of. And I worked for a Fortune 500 company for a few years. Then I worked doing freelance graphics for Dell Publishing. And then I substitute taught. And then eventually I got myself back to graduate school. I went to Mason Gross, which was also Rutgers. So, yeah.
What do you think was the most important thing that graduate school offered to you as, you know, insight or practice or just time and faith?
It offered a lot of things, but the most important thing is the same thing that's offered here. Community that understands what you're doing and possibly even why you're doing it, and are
then shut
involved
off the
in doing
screen.
it themselves.
Doesn't matter.
You know, not just the physical aspect
Because
of
it's what
making
people,
things,
yeah,
but
like
also,
someone already put in the
you know, all
comments,
the
can you
mental
change
aspect of
this?
just being a
I did it
creative
already.
person and, you know,
Oh,
recognizing it.
Being among other creative people.
Yeah.
So that you have that support of knowing that that's something other people find valuable.
Exactly.
That could be really empowering. So you alluded to this, that it found you early and then you kind of chose it later. So why don't you bring us to that point?
Well, once I decided to be an artist, I had to support myself. I actually started out teaching, you know, as an adjunct and traveling all over the state of New Jersey to teach, sometimes 3 places a day. It was horrible. So I didn't last long doing that. I did have a year as a full-time professor, you know, as a sabbatical replacement. But then I eventually found myself interested in going into therapy. That came because I was in therapy, of course. And yeah, I went to work at a mental hospital. I actually went as a volunteer and they hired me. And, you know, I worked there for a few years and got my certification as a counselor and started doing therapy for a private organization in Somerville, New Jersey.
What do you think was, or do you think that your artwork or your thoughtfulness as an artist, how do you think that contributed to the way you approach therapy?
I don't think there's any difference between therapy and art making, you know, and, you know, the only difference is that there's somebody else on the other side of the table who you're trying to get to realize themselves. And you or I sitting on the table in control of the meeting benefit from the person on the other side and from the information they have to give about themselves and about the world. So I think I have a more open mind than I would have had if I hadn't been a therapist, and I had a more open mind as a therapist than I would have had if I hadn't been an artist.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to say that.
Mhm.
As an artist, it's your job to think
Yeah.
about yourself
And
about
feel
the world
things.
around you and feel things.
And then express them and give them to other people.
Right. And
Yeah.
translating it into expression is what you're trying to help someone else do when
Right.
you're in therapy.
Exactly. That's the other thing that graduate school is about, learning to be a translator between visual information and verbal information, or between 2 people trying to communicate. It was very much like that. I enjoyed, you know, all my classes, physical classes, but it was more the people that were there and the experience of working with professional artists, people who were a few steps beyond myself, and, you know, and other artists who are at the same level. So,
Well, and that's an interesting point too. Do you feel like you had enough examples of people who had taken a winding path to get to art? I mean, in a way, you knew you wanted to be an artist, but
Right.
you also realized that you had to kind of navigate in order to.
I haven't known a lot of people who've been therapists, but I've known a lot of people who've been professors.
Which is also like being a therapist.
Yeah, unfortunately. You know, and I've done that even as an adjunct up I do that now. So, wait, what was the question
It's
again?
just like I think I'm basing this on my own. I teach a professional practices class, and I bring artists in to talk to my students, and I try to make sure they understand that you don't just say, "Okay, I'm going to be an artist," and then you walk down a straight road to
Mhm.
be the artist. You have
Right.
to navigate different things, and it's a winding path. So I wonder if you knew that. Did you have other people who, um, you know, were showing you or were telling you it's okay that you haven't just gone from point A to point B, or would that have helped you?
I had the advantage of being poor. So I kind of like,
You knew people had to.
yeah, had to navigate their way, along the path. The first thing was I had to pay for going to school and learning anything in the first place.
Right.
So when I finished school, I had to pay the money back.
Right.
Then I had to go back to school. In order to do that, I had a whole bunch of jobs, substitute teaching and working in a toy store and eventually I made it back to graduate school. And then after that, I had to work a bunch of other jobs, including becoming a therapist. Um, Most people that I know who have gotten to this point where they're in their own studio all the time and producing work and getting it out to the public, at least a little bit, they've taken the lucky path of being a teacher.
Mhm.
And the reason I say that is because it's so much in our personalities, because that's what we're doing with the
Mhm.
objects that we make.
That's true.
Mhm.
Teaching and
Right.
talking, communicating, like you
Right.
said, between the visual and the verbal. That's what I wrote down before.
Hmm.
Um, so you mentioned to me the other day that part of this, the decision was being a therapist for 20 years so that you could secure your studio space.
Yeah, we decided to buy a house because we were looking for a place that had either a basement, attic, or garage so that I could set up a studio. We found a house that had a basement, attic, and a garage, and the floor built above the garage, which became my studio. So the first time I saw it, it's like, well, we have to have this. And, in order to have that, I had to have a job. And I think I was working first as a therapist. But that's when I committed to doing that for making enough money to buy the house, to open up the studio, to buy a kiln, etc.
Right. All of those things are expensive.
Hmm.
And you said earlier that you had the privilege or the benefit of being poor.
Yes, it's a benefit, definitely. Um, if you're wealthy, or no, wealthy, you kind of stay that way. If you're right in the middle, you have to figure out how you're going to lose everything in order to get back to the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not willing to,
It's scary.
yeah,
That's
it is
part of the
scary.
brave decision. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're not willing to like buy the equipment, take the lessons, make the communications, talk to people, develop your own skills, then you never even get onto the path.
Well, and maybe part of what you're saying is if you're not willing to be poor,
Yeah.
like if you're not willing to risk your financial
Right. But it's
to
not,
do
I
those
mean,
things.
it's not even that because, or only that, because obviously there are people out there that have more wealth and can make art. Um, but I do think it really had a part of my own upbringing and way into art making.
And it built perseverance.
Yes, I do have that.
Yeah.
Sure, we're
That
paying
way.
for that with this. anyway.
And I also think there's an aspect of not oops,
Yeah.
That's just my cane.
not being beholden to someone else. I mean, it's not great that you had to pay for your own school and that you had to pay back the loans, but you said to me the other day, if no one else was paying for it for you, you could make that decision by yourself. But if you are, have that pressure of like, oh, my parents are helping me, I need to do what they say, then you don't have quite I mean,
Well,
I don't
then you
mean
wind
to,
up a lawyer,
it's
a
still privilege,
doctor,
but
or a priest.
they wanted you to be a lawyer, a doctor, or a priest.
Well, that's where you end up if you don't, take that step. And yes, that's what they wanted. Um, which still would have been a career in helping people,
Absolutely.
you know, and still would have been a career in communication. Maybe I'll do that next.
What do you think, Abby? And then maybe stick with art. We think you're doing great, so I think that that's a good thing. Speaking of which, I'd love to show people your work. So if Maddie can put the slides up, we can start, and you can talk to us about the images that we're seeing on the screen.
Yeah, about when I stopped working as a therapist, and committed myself to the studio full time. That's about 10 years ago. And about halfway through, 5 years ago, this illness decided to find the entire world. Um, and I was left alone in my studio with nobody or anything else to refer to. You know, we were all trapped inside for at least a year or 2 years. So it gave me a lot of time to develop a relationship with my own face. And I started actually, I started putting my face on these slabs of clay. There were a couple that were on bottles first, but then the slabs of clay came. Yeah, those are some of the bottles. Um, the one on the left is an older one. It's about 2 or 3 years old. The one on the right is this year, just a few months ago. Um, yeah, now we have another slab. These are both from, 3 or 4 years ago. Um, both of them have made their way into museums, not permanent collections, but in shows. Actually, the one on my left, is that your right?
No, they see the same.
Yeah, the slab was selected for a show by the director of the play studio. Okay.
So how did you end up here at the play studio, George?
Well, let's see. I I had applied for a show, which I had stopped applying for just general shows because I didn't want to do that anymore. But this show said something about the future of ceramics. And I said, okay, well, I'm doing something that I don't know how to do, or that apparently there's no examples. Yeah, I mean, there are examples, but not exactly. So I applied, and Jennifer saw my piece and said that she wanted me in the show. Uh,
And that's
so,
Jennifer Martin, our executive director, who is
yes.
sitting next to us, for those of you who don't know.
So anyway, yes, I got into the show, and I went to the opening and I met Jennifer, and it was like we had known each other. So, yeah, then I applied for, um, the guest artist here, because I know you have residencies, but I couldn't come for 3 years, even if I was invited, so I decided, let me apply for, this, guest artist, because it was a little bit less specific. And I applied, and then I heard from you a year later, and now I'm here.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah,
We're
me
glad
too.
you and Jennifer met. And now the two of you have a two-person show.
Yeah, we
coming
have
up.
a show coming up in January, near the end of January, in Princeton at the Art Alliance of Princeton.
It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone mark your calendar. Well, let's go back for 1 sec. I just want to ask you, I'm sure people have technical questions. Can you talk a little bit just about the technique to do your drawings on the
Okay.
bottles?
Well, first I start with bisqueware. I start by making bottles out of slabs. Um, then I bisque them, which means putting them into the first fire. After the first firing, I use cobalt oxide to draw the figures. Then I spray them with glaze all over, and fill up the bottles with glaze as much as possible, because most of them are functional. Um, and then I put them into the kiln for the second firing, the glaze firing. Once they come out, I will apply color, and the line comes right through the color because cobalt oxide is so strong. which is the reason for drawing it with it in the first place.
Mhm.
When I say draw is really paint because, you know, cobalt, I mean, all the oxides and all the stains, they're powders. And I'm not using um, anything to make them activate. It's just the powder and water
Mm.
that's going on, or the oxide and the water. And so I have to spray it to make it stay in place, fire it to, you know, make it permanent,
Mhm.
put the next color on the same way the first color went on, fire them to make them permanent, and then they're done.
Is there um a significance to the clay body type that you're using, or is it slip on top of, or?
The slip is important. I use a number of different clay bodies, but I pretty much only use the same white slip so that there is some consistency. And the slip is like putting gesso on a piece of canvas. It gives you a smooth white surface to work on. Although the one that's a slab, you can actually see the lines where the paint was drawn, and it kind of looks like fabric. So I like to do that as well.
Yeah, it does have a sense of canvas. That's cool. Great, thank you. Okay, now we can go to the next one.
Okay. Go ahead, you talk.
Me, not my stuff. You told me about it, but
This is from, I hate to say it, but from the 90s.
that long ago. Come on.
Well, it was. Um, that's when I was in graduate, or after I finished graduate school. And this is from the Huntington Museum, a performance that I did at the, what was the name of the show? Dada Country, where we had all Dada artists from the past and current Dada artists or Fluxus artists. And being one of those, I showed up with my entourage and applied mud to my face.
Oh, could go to the next one.
And then put a cloth over the mud to pull a print off of my face. So I have these mud prints of my face, and that's my face.
Yeah, there you go. There's one.
Yeah.
Great.
So that was the performance. I did a lot of mud related performances.
Mhm.
You know, clay, I say mud, I'm thinking clay because, you know, mud doesn't stick as well unless you mix it with something,
Mhm.
you know, so, and the clay is already ready to stick to your face. So, or your hands, which most artists know about. So yeah, I used mostly white or brown clay, and I did these other performances where I would, you know, give mud to other people, like make an anointment
Mm.
out of mud. So, yeah.
What did you do anything with the print? Did you fire it or?
No, they're on cloth, so if I fire them, they just
Right.
disappear. I framed a few of them, and I still have a few of them. Um, I wasn't sure that I was ready to work with them yet,
Mm.
and I'm still not,
Mm.
but I still have a bunch of them.
Okay, I have a lot of questions. One is, can you talk a little bit more about why this felt like an important process for you to do to yourself? And then you were talking about anointing other people. So what did that mean to you on a, was it a metaphorical level or?
The anointing is definitely a metaphorical level. You know, the idea of covering yourself with mud is not like a new idea. It wasn't, it's not now. It wasn't then when I was doing it. It wasn't in the 60s when I don't remember the name of the artist was doing it. But you know, it just there's a tradition of getting back to the earth. When we put our hands in clay, we're getting back in contact with the earth. When we realize that that contact can be a further connection, then we can put it on our bodies too.
Mhm. So for you, it's about getting back to the earth.
It's about getting back to the earth and learning um, what nature and the earth have to offer us and have to teach us.
Hmm.
You know, I know a lot about clay now, but it's because I learned from the clay. You know, I mean, I learned in school too, but 50 years of working, well, let's say 40 years of working with the material, you know, your hands learn something.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And your hands, so your body learns from the earth, and there's almost transference without thinking being necessary.
Absolutely. It's really not about thought, and that's why, I mean, you have to think about it beforehand, but when you're actually in the process of doing a performance, all you're thinking about is what the next step is. I, although I did a performance once where I had a stick and did a spirit dance to with music, and the stick broke because I hit the wall because I missed my mark. So I didn't know I was supposed to have a mark, but I was, and I missed it and almost killed everybody in the audience. But everyone survived, and I survived.
Oh, that's good. Maybe it was something in the spirits that you were calling that made you break the stick.
Maybe it was the spirits in the stick and said, "Hey, what are you doing with me?"
Yeah.
Sure.
Something. You never know. That makes me think of what Ade Bumi was talking about at the symposium.
Yeah, I really connected with her on, that level. She worked with hair and earth and yeah, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And luckily we were at dinner right across from each other, so I got to talk to her quite a bit.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, so you talked about yourself. Can you talk a little bit more about when you were anointing someone else?
Oh,
What were you hoping to
um,
communicate through that?
yeah, I was really talking about, well, in one sense, I was talking about the same thing, get back, get in contact with the earth. But in another sense, I had discovered that, people kind of like to be attended to. They like to get something from you. And if you, do performance and give them something physical, they're a lot happier than they would be if they didn't get it. So I gave them some mud.
I love the way you say that in such a matter-of-fact way, but it's very deep and it's very it's true. People like to be attended to, and if
Oh.
you're doing art, and that has a lot to do with, you know, thinking about the viewer when you're an artist, because there is no purpose to art unless, in my opinion, someone else is going to come and engage with it.
Exactly. The show downstairs right now, which is about play and care. It's amazing to me that I would come the month that that show would be here or open, because it really has so much to do with what I do in my own life.
Yeah.
It might not be visible in the work all the time, but it certainly is visible, in the artist all the time.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad that that worked out that way.
Me too.
So you just said that you still have some of those face prints,
Yeah.
and you weren't ready then, and you're still not ready. So when do you think you're going to be ready, George?
5 minutes from now.
Yeah.
No.
Or
Let's
what
see.
will make you ready?
I don't know. Maybe doing some fresh ones,
Mm.
and or maybe going back and making more masks, because they were also related to. I used to make ceramic masks, so there was a relationship between the mask and the face print as well. So if I start making masks again, or start using, I didn't show any examples, other materials with the clay, then I might be drawn into looking at the faces again.
Yeah, that was kind of my next question. Would you think about doing raw clay performances again?
No,
No.
only private performances.
Private. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's for your own, to produce something that then you could make work out of.
Yes, and I wouldn't deny some of my acquaintances the opportunity to see it, but I can't be as physical as I used to be at the time. The idea of laying out bowls of mud and cloth and kneeling down in front of them and apply, no, it's too much.
Yeah.
So I'd have to sit at a table and apply it to my face and just let people enjoy that aspect of it.
Well, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Keep us updated for
Well,
whoever's invited to that. Okay, so we can go to the next. Oh, we're at the next slide. Sorry. So these are some of your paintings.
these paintings, also came right around, well, that's not true. The red one came before COVID. The yellow one came right around at the time of COVID. And the red one is really a horrible representation because we can't even see me and the colors are so dark. Yeah, but
It's just because the lights are on in here.
yeah, well, that's okay. They have a relationship to my discovery of Buddhism, and discovery because I can't think of another word. When I became a Buddhist, um, which happened through martial arts about 25 years ago, um, while I was working in the mental hospital.
Is that some self-care?
Yeah, yeah. And the paintings are about that. They're about that relationship that you have with Buddha and that you have with yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Okay, then we can see the next one.
This is where I started.
Okay.
About however long, 40 years ago when I was in graduate school, this is what I painted. This one's later, but not much later after I got out of school. I liked the idea of painting the body, but have a spirit that can escape from the body, which was what the linear drawings in white are about. So some of them have escaped even further from the body than this one. But yeah, it was, I basically painted from life and from photographs because people don't like to stay still forever.
That's true.
And at the time I was painting in oil and acrylic. Now I just use acrylic. So, but I get, similar results.
So you're still doing paintings in addition
I
to
still
the
do paintings, but I haven't done a painting for anybody to see in a couple of years.
Well, I mean, what you're doing on the bottles are paintings.
That is definitely painting.
Yeah, and that sense of the extra outline, I feel like comes through in the way you make the drawings on the bottles as well.
Yeah, there are definitely linear drawings on the bottle, and it's funny. I had this idea of overlapping images on the bottle by using, see, that's that word again.
Decals?
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Decals. I can't get the word in my head, but I made a few decals. I put them on bottles and realized I might be able to draw on the bottle, paint on the bottle, and then overlay the decals. So we'll see what happens.
Great. Okay, thank you. We can go to the next slide. So these are more recent.
Yeah, this one was, I fired it maybe a week before I came here. So there's similarity between this and the ones that I'm doing here. When I was doing just the portraits, I was really saturating the surface with color. But with these, I sort of felt like, they were the entire body, and that a technique that wasn't so rich in color would allow for more information to come through. And so the colors almost look like watercolor application. Also, I realized that I could communicate about me and my being, showing my entire self. So I started to do that.
And then what does it mean that you're walking away?
It means that, it's funny. I'm not really walking away. I'm taking a picture of myself.
Oh,
The camera is, back there, and I have a remote.
okay.
So there's, some information you don't need.
No, I mean, I do need that information. I think, I mean, we've seen your face.
Yeah.
And then there's a difference of your whole body, and the other difference is it's your back. And you have to have made that choice for a reason.
Coming and going are about the same thing. And you never really see yourself from the back. You never really associate yourself with leaving,
Mm-hmm.
because when you leave, you take yourself with you. Well, this is my attempt to find out what it is like to see me leaving.
That's true. We don't see ourselves leaving, and
Yeah.
you do take yourself with you when you leave.
Yeah.
Is your front on the front of the bottle?
No, this is the front of the bottle.
That's the front of the bottle. Okay. Do you ever decorate more than one side?
I have, and I may do that in the future with some, but um, just like paintings, you walk up to them, you gaze at them, you get your information. It's not like when you go to a regular gallery or museum, you get to pick the bottle up and turn it around. We do that here in the clay studio, but it's a unique situation. And yeah, so I usually paint it on the front. Sometimes they go and move around to the side,
Mm.
but the idea of putting them on the back may happen in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Next slide. So this,
Yeah, this is the same idea, but from the front. The same watery technique. And looking at it like this, I'm not sure I like it so much, but they're so new that I haven't had a chance to look at them nearly yet. Um,
well, things look different when they're gigantic on the
yeah,
wall
that's true.
too. Um,
These
I like it.
bottles may be, a foot tall, so.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
and we're looking at it 4 feet tall right now.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide, please.
This is also recent. Um, it goes back to my face, but only a portion of my face. And, the similarity between the lightness of color and the watercolor kind of technique on the other bottles is still there.
And I love the macro and micro, the you from the back walking away, and then you even closer than normal up close.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's interesting to do an abstraction of yourself. Like if I could just get people to identify me by the left side of my nose and the corner of my eye, that would be perfect.
Yeah. You're almost there. That's great.
I know.
And then these just came out of the kiln today.
Yes.
So that was exciting.
Yeah, these are pieces that I actually made here at the Clay Studio, start to finish. I'm surprised that I was able to get them out of the kiln so quickly, but I was aiming for having some pictures of them today. Um, once again, I haven't looked at them much. These aren't my favorites. You'll see my favorites so far in a minute. They're up there too.
Okay.
Um, in that same thought of the corner of my eye and the corner of my nose identifying me,
Mm.
I use a walking stick. And I've used one, pretty much solid for 10 years and off and on for like 15 years. It's part of my identity.
Mm.
So even without my hand, it still identifies as me.
So this object is a stand-in for you.
Yeah.
It's great.
Stand-in is a good term for it because it helps me stand.
That's true. So
And yeah, I wish we could get it a little brighter, but the one on my left, with my head down,
yeah.
that I find, very appealing.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's something about that gesture that is very evocative and could be grief, it could be confusion, it could really be contemplation.
Exactly. It could be pain. It could be a lot of things. And I think when I did the drawing and actually took the selfie, I knew that, communicated all those things because it doesn't show my face, it shows my head. My face is just kind of an extra little detail.
So I don't know if there's one more slide. Oh yeah, I just took a picture. Your table, I love that.
Hanging out.
There's the watercolor.
Yeah. I do a few watercolors here and there. I thought I might, put this one on a that word I can't remember.
Decal.
Thank you. I swear to God.
How about
I'm
transfer?
blocked.
That means it
Transfer is the same thing, but I'm blocked.
okay, you're
I
blocked.
had
I
been for a
understand. That
month.
happens to me about things too. We're all here to support each other.
Yes, thank goodness.
Mhm.
But yes, that'll become a decal. There are a couple of watercolors that I'm working on. But I'll have to talk to Audrey about when those could be done because I won't be here much longer.
Right, but I think you're gonna keep firing.
Yes, I'm gonna
Thanks.
keep
That's good.
firing. I have a 3-foot bottle that um is in this fire right now.
Mhm.
So it'll come out and then I'll have to glaze it and draw on it, etc. So yeah, I'll be back to do those things.
That's good. Have you had, I mean, a breakthrough here at the Clay Studio or just a realization or what has been being here offered to you?
Well, that's an interesting question that, you know, has more to do with community and spirituality. Um, it doesn't show through necessarily in the work that's being done now, as opposed to the work that I was doing a few weeks ago before I got to the Clay Studio. At the same time, it's been like an adventure for me. The idea of having equipment where I could, build things 3 foot tall or even taller. The idea of making a piece where I can't really even see the drawing until I back up. That's attractive to me. Um, but yeah, I would say it's more about the spirit and community that's here at the Play Center, Play Studio.
That's
Where
nice.
are we?
I mean, well, no, it's fine. We have many names. I think once people come and spend time here, then they're part of the family forever. So hopefully you feel that way.
I like the family.
It's good. And then I guess my last question before I let other people ask questions is about, is this the work that's going to be in the show?
We don't know.
Don't know. Okay.
There's still months to go.
Yeah, that's true.
And well, there was work accepted for the show,
Okay.
which is a little different than the work that both Jennifer and I are doing now. So we'll submit our new work and, hopefully they'll love it and say, yeah, that'll do.
Sure, that's when you make these bottles, I guess part of that question for me was, do you have a vision of how they're going to be displayed and how people will interact with them?
No,
No. Okay.
I only,
That's my job,
only
not
from
your
the
job.
past. Well, yeah, kind of. Except I have curated my own shows too. And, whenever anybody visits your studio, you have to kind of curate your studio. So yeah, I have an idea of how they should be displayed, but that doesn't mean that that matches up with the idea that the curator has,
Well, I anyway, I guess I can say I like to hear what the artist's
Yeah.
thinking.
I have a few bottles that are like in pairs
Mhm.
where it's, 2 people or a hand extending beyond the bottle.
Yeah.
So those need to be displayed together, but they're just one piece.
Got it. I sort of, especially with people walking away now, I kind of imagine a grouping where George is walking away from us and walking towards us.
I have to make all those.
Yeah, I know,
Oh,
but
boy.
that's what I think you should do. So go ahead.
She's giving me a challenge.
I guess we could stop sharing and then I would love to maybe Jennifer, can you turn the light back on? Thank you. If anyone has any questions, I would love to offer George the chance to answer your questions, but also to ask, was there anything else you wanted to say before we go to questions?
Yeah, I want to say hi to all the people I know.
Hi. Hi, everybody.
And say hi to my spouse Abby, who's here in the room. Hi.
And we've enjoyed having you both here. It's been
Thank you.
nice. We got two for the price of one. Jennifer, you had a question? Yeah, absolutely.
Of all the forms that you choose to put your drawings on, why are you choosing the bottle?
Yes, why you're
actually,
choosing the bottle. Sorry.
Uh, you know, the bottle is a stand-in for the body, for the figure. certainly, I don't go as far as to say, that they identify, well, I guess I'm saying it, the male figure, but then I put this male figure on those bottles. So it's like double communication. The other thing about the bottles that's not necessarily evident in the images that are shown is that they're kind of lean or twist or look like they're going to fall over. Um, because, people lean and twist and look like they're going to fall over too, especially me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Double
You're
information.
welcome.
Have there been women on the bottles?
Yes.
Okay.
Um,
Do you make them differently when they're women?
No, I have one where there's a tall bottle and a short bottle, and then my cousins. And one of my cousins is taller than the other, so that made sense to me. And sometimes I will make a short, squat type of bottle for a short, squat type of person. But yeah, and a tall, lengthy bottle but most of, my images are of myself, so that's why most of the bottles seem similar.
Got it. Okay. Any other questions, Maddie?
All right. Well, first Patty says, hi, George and Abby.
Hi, Patty.
And then Catherine asks, she says, I'm wondering about George's pieces that marry words with the art. When did that start and how?
Married words with the art?
Are there words on it?
I used to work a lot on canvas with words as part of my art. I don't know if they're referring to that or referring to the use of verbal language to describe the art.
Maybe when there were words on the canvas.
Yeah, but we didn't show any of those.
I know.
So it
This
must
must
be
be someone
somebody
who
that
knows you.
knows my history.
Catherine Brown.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. No, this is somebody who I've known for most of my career, 40 years. So, yeah, she would remember that work.
Oh, reference your aunt reading Babar out loud.
Thank you. Yeah, I did this painting of an elephant, and my aunt is reading a book. It's actually the Saggy Baggy Elephant that she's reading, which was apparently my favorite book when I was, 1 or 2 years old or whatever it was. And in the painting, there's an elephant and a woman sitting in a rocking chair. I don't remember if I'm in there.
No.
I don't remember. But there are words that, talk about the relationship between myself and my aunt. Something about I would rather, or I don't know, that this was the best thing that could happen to me, having my aunt was from Jamaica, so she had an accent. So it said something about that too.
And it was the best thing to have her reading to you.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. Thanks. Any other questions? No? How about anyone in the room? Questions? Is there any final thoughts you want to share with us?
Yeah. This place, you already invited me to be in the family, so I'm accepting. I want a ring.
Okay. We'll
But,
get you a ring.
because I would love to come back and, be able to continue working in scale and making those discoveries. And, I have the luxury of being in the room with the associates, and the associates are all like working on their own projects on a very high level. And so, I really have gotten a lot of good feedback and given a lot of good feedback, So I feel like there's a lot of nice communication in that studio.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they really benefited from you being here,
We'll
as
see.
have we all.
I hope so. We'll see in the future.
Sure, it's true. Well, I want to thank you for spending your month with us and for being
Thank you.
And sharing your creativity. And we definitely will see you again.
Thank you. I love being here.
Great. Thanks,
Thank
George.
you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.